3, 2, 1.
In this series of videos from Practical Tips for Rocket Engineering, we're going to be looking at fixtures and fittings for your feed systems and your rockets. But before we go into these videos, I really want to stress how important it is to get professional training from places like Swagelok, who do a fantastic tube bending and fixtures and fittings course. However, what I'm going to go through is some of the tips and tricks that I've picked up on the way. The easiest way of connecting our pressure equipment together is to use standard off-the-shelf equipment like port connectors. So this is a brass port connector, and as you can see, it's effectively a bit of tube by itself and half of a Swagelok fixture and fitting already. Okay. And what we're going to do in this video is effectively assemble this for use. So first of all, what you want to do is get yourself a Swagelok nut. In this case, this is for a 1/2 inch, so this is a 1/2 inch nut. And you'll notice that we have taken the internals out. Okay, the internals come in 3 components usually. Okay, with each nut. All right, you have these 3 components. We've just removed these 2 components from the system and we've just put them to one side. So you've got your port connector, you've got your nut, you slide it over, and that's effectively 1/2 of your fixture and fitting together. And then you get another nut with your internal fittings. Okay. Well, we now need to assemble these correctly onto our port connector. We then get another nut housing and slide it over the top. We then locate the internals of the nut, finding the smallest one first. You'll notice it's got a slight L shape to it, okay, to identify. Make sure, okay, that when you're putting it on your port, that you're putting it in the right direction, okay, and with the base of it going towards the back of the casing of the nut. So slide it over the top. And then lastly, we get the last part of the internals, okay, and then we slide that over the top as well, making sure it's all the right direction. So we've now got our port, but as you can see, all of these pieces can effectively come apart. So we need to effectively bond the internals, okay, onto the port connector. And we do that by effectively applying pressure. So the easiest way of doing this, okay, is effectively to get a special tooling, okay. And what you'll notice here, okay, is that there is a shoulder to this thread right here, and that's specifically designed at a particular height. That all you need to do is just crank up the fitting, okay, and then once it's so you put the port connector on, okay, so this is the loose end, and then all you effectively have to do is just tighten that up until the gap closes. And then under that pressure, it will then create a good, nice seal. Now, if you don't have one of these tools, another way of doing this is by using an existing fixture fitting, okay, in this case, and then we just screw it up, and then you could have a tool. Yet again, another tooling, sizing tool from Swagelok. And we're going to use the 1/2 inch. We're going to find and locate the 1/2 inch. We're going to put it into this gap and we're going to screw it up. And yet again, okay, we're then going to crank this up, okay, until there's no gap between the two. The last way of doing this, okay, is by just doing, using 2 spanners. Okay, so you would use 1 spanner to hold the bottom part, another spanner to hold the nut here, and you would just turn this around for 1 whole turn, an extra quarter turn, and then I always do a little bit on top of that. Okay, and that should also provide the same amount of pressure to the system. So what does that actually look like when it's fully complete? So let's actually do this, but using the correct tooling. Okay, so all we're going to do here is put it into our system. Got the tooling here, and we're just going to crank it up until there is no gap in between the pieces. Just try it again. Okay. Now, best practice, okay, you also notice that this tooling, you could also clamp this in a clamp, and then all you just have to worry about is just using a single spanner to close it up. But now you can see that there's no gap in between, so that's ready to come off. Okay, and so as you can see here, that port connector is now complete with the 2 nuts on either side. Okay, and that is now ready to be used in your pressure system. So if you've liked this video on how to put a port connector together, okay, then please like and subscribe.